just to briefly tell you about myself, my name is Krishna, M.R. Krishna. I am presently working in Ministry of Urban Development. My designation is Joint Secretary and Chief Vigilance Officer. I am looking after the vigilance work relating to CPWD, and of course there is one PSU also attached with Ministry of Urban Development, that is NBCC. So I am happy today afternoon I've got a chance to interact with all of you here. I thank ELETS also for giving me this opportunity. Today's topic on which we were supposed to speak is PSUs, the contribution in the growth of our economy, how the economy is moving, what is the contribution of PSUs in that. So we have a panel discussion also a little later on, but before that I would like to focus basically on certain issues about the PSUs and the role they played in building up the economy of our country. So I believe most of the delegates today are participating from different PSUs and are connected with PSUs. So the PSUs basically came into existence immediately after independence. The growth, if you just briefly look back at the history of the growth of PSUs, which is also synonymous with the growth of a country after independence. So the growth of PSUs can be broadly categorized as what was happening before independence and how PSUs have started, what were the reasons why PSUs have started, and how PSUs played a major role in shaping the economy of our country. So before independence, there was not much of entrepreneurial activity in the country in the British days. It was mostly certain utilities which were basically run by the government, like railways and some ordnance factories producing for the defense requirements, and mostly transport, communication, and mostly they were operated by the government on the lines of government departments. There is not much of private entrepreneurship in those days on a larger scale, except for localized whatever the business transactions that were going on. So immediately after independence, it was felt, the need was felt to put the country on the map of rapid industrialization and on the road for speedy economic growth. So basically the model which was the great leaders at those immediately after independence who started looking at the developmental aspects of the country. Immediately after deciding the political framework for the country, deciding the constitutional framework of the country, they have decided to build an economic model which will goes along with our political framework, that is the social democratic system that we have adopted in our country. So in line with social democratic setup in our country, which is also a kind of federal setup we have in the country, they have decided about establishing public sector to enhance the economic growth, for rapid industrialization, and also for self-reliance. To the country, they want the country to become self-reliant. They have placed the importance on the public sector. Moreover, in those days, the factors, the conditions prevailing at that point of time, if you look at those factors, absolutely it was purely an agricultural economy. Mostly people were in the rural areas. There was no urbanization. There were no industries. Literacy rates were very poor. People were not having money to invest in a big way. There was no modern technology available in the country. So all the deficiencies, looking at those deficiencies, they have decided that the state has to come in a big way. State has to take a lead in starting the process of industrialization. State has to take a lead in developing a model for making India self-reliant. So with that focus that the state has to play a dominant role, the concept of public sector has come into existence. Then the first industrial policy resolutions, followed by the 5-year plan concept, which was adopted by our government. They have played a major emphasis. They have focused on the public sector, and the major allocations were made for starting the public sector right from the first 5-year plan. And subsequently, in the subsequent 5-year plans, major allocations were made to the public sector. And with these main objectives, the objectives was that making countries self-reliant, rapid economic growth, making a basic infrastructure in the country which can be used as a launch pad for further industrialization of the country. So the basic technology is available in the country to reduce the imports, our dependence on imports. They want to reduce the dependence, and also to start exports, to start revenues in foreign exchange. So with those objectives in mind, the state has decided to take a dominant role, and major allocations were made in the public sector industries. And also, if you see, initially, because the state has decided to play a dominant role, the major part of industries were reserved in the domain of government. And all critical and core industries were reserved for the government sector, and all important utilities, they were reserved for the government sector. And only those which were not supposed to be in the basic utilities, or they are not supposed to be in the core sectors, they were only allowed for the private participation. So most of the major public sector companies were established in the first 5-year plan, second 5-year plan, third 5-year plan. If you see all the major steel plants, fertilizer plants, most of this core industry, railways, transport, most of the major projects, they have come in the initial 5-year plans. So that's how the journey has started for the public sector companies, which were before independence, there were absolutely no public sector as such. And at the time of independence, we have about 5 public sector companies with an investment of about 29 crores at 1948. And now we have, as on today, we have around 290 public sector units functional as on today. And if you see, in 2010, there were about 247 PSUs functioning in the country with an investment of 5.8 lakh crores. So this is a big journey for public sector units, from a figure of 5 to a figure of 290 in the country, and an initial investment of 29 crores to almost like 6 lakh crores as on now. This is the magnitude of public sector we have in our country today. And if you see, today India is one of the fastest growing economies in the world. We are almost second in the world next to China. And the forecasts are such, very soon we'll also surpass the growth rates as far as China is concerned, and we'll become the number one as far as the growth rate is concerned in the world. And also we are one of the top 5 economies in the world now, and very soon we'll become probably the largest economy after USA and China in the world. So, a country who started from nothing at the time of independence, and how we have progressed in this span of 60 years of our independence to reach such heights in the economic field. Definitely, if you look at the public sector industries' contribution, they have played a very major role in shaping the economy of our country and taking it to such a place where we are right now. And now we are in a position from here to take off at a very fast pace, at an exponential pace. We can take off now. And they have provided the basic infrastructure in the company based on which now the private participation, private companies can take off in a very big way. If you also look at the contribution of the public sector companies in the overall context of a country's economy, if you see the GDP, the total turnover of all PSUs put together in 2009, it was around 12.7 lakh crores. And that was about around 18.5% of our GDP. And the figures, the present figures are still much more. So we are almost contributing 20% of our GDP from the PSUs only. And the turnover of PSUs is contributing to about 20% of our GDP. And the income to government, if you look at it, we are the PSUs also contribute a lot to the government in the form of income. This income to government comes in the form of dividends on the investments made by the government, and also the various taxes which these PSUs pay in the form of corporate tax, in the form of excise tax, customs duty, and income tax, and various other forms of taxes which they pay to the local state governments and to Government of India. So the income, if you look at it from these PSUs, which are about, as I said, 250 odd PSUs which are actively functional as on today, the total income to Government of India is about 1.5 lakh crores in the year 2010. As this figure is much more presently. So now every year these PSUs are contributing about 1.5 lakhs to 1.8 lakh crores of rupees to the Indian economy. So that's a very substantial figure. So their turnover, we are contributing in a big way to the GDP of our country, and also substantially these PSUs are providing to the economy of our country by giving about 1.5 to 1.8 lakh crores every year, which the government can invest in other areas where the government funding is required. So this is a big boost to the Government of India in the way of earnings which they get from PSUs. And in the terms of foreign exchange, if you look at it, in the last 5 years almost the figures have doubled, and PSUs are earning about 78,000 crores to 80,000 crores in foreign exchange by its transactions. We have about 144 PSUs. They have a presence globally in foreign countries, and we have about 47 PSUs which actually earn foreign exchange. And this foreign exchange total comes to about 80,000 crores annually. So that's a substantial amount of earnings in way of foreign exchange to the country. And also in terms of employment, these PSUs almost they provide employment for 15 lakh people in the country, which is almost which was very substantial in the beginning when private sector was not that big in the country. They used to provide almost 70 to 80% employment in the organized industrial sector by the PSUs, which is now almost 40-45% of employment now is still in PSUs, and they provide an employment to 15 lakh people in the country, and also they pay salaries of around 90,000 crores to these employees in the PSUs. So that's a big distribution of wealth. So PSUs basically involve about creation of wealth in themselves by way of assets, and also distribution of wealth by way of salaries to the employees, and also by paying taxes and dividend to the government. So the PSUs have contributed in a very big way, and they could achieve their objectives to a large extent, which they were thought of at the time of beginning. The basic objectives with which these PSUs are started, that is basically to provide employment, to improve the skills, to improve the human resource quality, and also to provide substantial resources to government, which government can use in further funding its projects and further investments in other social sectors, and also to reduce imports, more exports, and more foreign exchange revenues in way of exports. So these public sector units, over a period of time, they have reached such a commanding heights in the Indian economy, from where they provide a very strong platform to other manufacturing companies to take off. And this is very amply clear in the present scenario that we are one of the fastest growing economies, and we have almost become the third largest economy in the world. So PSUs have a major role to contribute, they played a major role. And another aspect which we must give due importance, the role PSUs have played. In those days when there's nothing in the country, when there's no industries, there was no technology available, there was no entrepreneurship, there was no skilled manpower was available, and these PSUs started in those days. They could survive and they could take the present shape. Some of these PSUs are so big, they are now given a place in the world ranking companies, in the top 500 and top 1,000 list of the world rankings. The companies like ONGC, NTPC, IOCL, SAIL, they have reached, they have become so big, they have been recognized internationally, and they have a place of their own in their respective fields, and they have been recognized for their quality standards and for their products worldwide. So these companies could attain these present status by continuous struggle and by continuous efforts over a period of time, and this has definitely shaped the present economy of our country. And so we can look back and say that these PSU companies, the objectives with which originally they were thought of, the objectives based on which these PSUs were started, have been fulfilled to a large extent, and definitely they played a very major role in shaping the economy of our country. And as I said, these PSUs, they could make a mark for themselves, struggling through the very tough times in the initial days, and they could survive those turbulent times, and they could reach the present heights from which now they are commanding the world economy. And these PSUs, definitely we all can feel proud of. And apart from their contributions from the economic side, they have contributed immensely on the social aspects also. Because initially there was no employment opportunities in the country. It was only PSU companies which started providing new employment avenues for the educated youth in the country in a very big way. They have provided the employment avenues, and they kept on recruiting year after year on a large scale to provide employment. And also they have taken care of the regional imbalances, and the public sector units. The basic concept was they were established in such in the regions where there was no industry in the beginning, and these units started in those areas, looking at keeping in view the regional imbalances, and to a large extent these imbalances could be corrected. And wherever these industries started, that in turn started a chain of downstream products, downstream companies, downstream business activity and upstream activity, so which could change the total complexion of those areas where these PSUs started initially. And apart from employment, these PSUs also helped addressing the regional imbalances, and also addressed the economic inequalities by ensuring distribution of wealth to disadvantaged sections in the society. And also they addressed the social needs in a big way. So the PSUs as such, apart from contributing in a big way to the economic development, economic activity, they have also contributed in a big way to the social upliftment of the country, and they have addressed these issues in such a way that this contribution of PSUs cannot be undermined. So now coming at this stage, it's very synonymous that the growth story of the country is also almost similar to the growth story of the PSUs. And now from this point, looking ahead, it's a continuous journey for these PSUs. They have reached the present status, but again they have to achieve more milestones in their journey. The only way for moving ahead, for the progress ahead is to look at the way they are functioning, these PSUs, and looking at the challenges, what are the challenges facing these PSUs these days, and then addressing these challenges, that is looking at the sustainability and continuity of progress. That's how we can ensure that these PSUs can continue to grow in the same manner as what they did in the past, and they can prosper. And with the growth and prosperity of PSUs, we can ensure that growth and prosperity of the country will also grow at the same pace. So this is a general view which I have presented before you, how the PSUs, they have started from nothing, they have reached the commanding heights in the economy of our country, and the present challenges which these PSUs are facing are also equally important, and they are to be addressed, and to make them more functional, to make them equally competitive with the changed environment as on these days, because now we have private sector has come on a very big way in the country. We have a large number of competitive companies. The government has opened up a large number of areas which were reserved earlier exclusively for the government, exclusively for the public sector. These areas have been opened up now for the private sector also. So that has increased the competition in a big way. And now the PSU companies have to function in the changing environment. They will have to adjust to the competition. They will have to be more competitive and to survive, and also to be equally competitive with the private participants in their fields. So the government has taken a lot of initiatives to address these challenges which the PSUs are facing. And the classification of these Maharatna companies, Navratna companies, and Mini Ratnas, this was done basically to give a lot of autonomy and leverage to the managements so that they can take decisions independently. They can take some major decisions without any wastage of time and without any interference. The boards can function more effectively, and they can do their business like any other private enterprise. And this functional autonomy also has helped in a great way. The administrative controls of the ministries have been reduced to a large extent. The MOUs system which they have started, Memorandum of Understanding, every year they enter into an MOU with the PSUs. These MOUs are based on economic performance indicators, also administrative performance indicators, and based on the performance ratings are being given to these PSU companies. The ratings, they give the classification as excellent, very good, good, and it's good to see that almost 70% PSUs, they have these ratings of excellent and very good. And many sick PSUs have come out of the red, and they have started functioning, and some of those sick PSUs have started earning profits also. In fact, as on now, we have about 140 PSUs which are making profits regularly, that is profits continuously for the last 3 years. And the number of sick units also has come down drastically. Earlier the figure used to be around 147 sick units 5 years back. Now that figure has come down to 40, and hopefully even those sick units will be revived and they will be en route to recovery. So efforts are being made continuously to give more autonomy, more functional autonomy, more independence to the managements of these PSUs. And if they can modernize their managements in the PSUs, they can run the PSUs on the corporate style managements. And if they can give more attention to their human resources management and improve the management styles and performance standards can be definitely improved. Apart from this, another big contribution of the PSUs is by way of the disinvestment. A lot of, in fact, lakhs of crores of government money is locked up in these PSUs in way of investment, and the government started disinvestment in a very professional manner, and by disinvestment government also is receiving huge amounts of money every year, almost in the range of 20,000 crores to 30,000 crores they could raise as a part of disinvestment of PSUs. And this year there is a target of about 70,000 crores by way of disinvestment in the PSUs. And this money can help government in a big way to overcome the financial constraints. And this money can be used for the economic development of PSUs, for further reinvestment. And also this money can be used for development of other areas where government is interested. So this year target is almost about 70,000 crores by way of disinvestment, and government is very hopeful that they will definitely reach the target of 70,000 crores by way of disinvestment. And this is again a contribution by PSUs, because only a very few number of PSUs so far disinvestment has been done. Only 50 companies have been listed on the stock exchanges, which are in the profits. Around 47 companies with the Bombay Stock Exchange and the others with the National Stock Exchange. These companies' contribution is almost about 25% in the overall total capital assets of those stock exchanges. And by way of disinvestment, the government is able to raise a lot of money. And as I said, presently only 50 companies are listed. The government is planning to list more companies so that these companies' shares can be offered to public. And by way of offering shares, more money can be raised. So the PSUs also contributing to the economy of the government of India in a very substantial manner by way of disinvestments. And also by making disinvestments, the companies are exposed to public, and they will be under public scrutiny, more of public scrutiny, there will be more public shareholding. That will make PSUs more responsible in their functioning, and also that will improve further their functioning and almost make them function on the lines of any private corporates. So this is another important development that is happening in the field of PSUs. And as I said, this categorization of Maharatna, Navratna, Mini Ratna companies also is a big incentive for these PSUs to perform, and the performance is rated based on their profits, is based on their administrative systems, is based on their management systems. And employees are given performance-related pay, PRP, or they are given bonuses based on their performance, which further motivates the employees in the public sector companies. So these measures will definitely go in a long way to improve the working in PSU companies. And as I said, the challenges are definitely there for PSUs, and measures are being taken to meet those challenges. And definitely in the days to come, these PSU companies will definitely they will achieve whatever that was expected from these PSU companies. And from the position of strength to strength, they will keep on moving, and they will continue the journey in strengthening our economy and also further rebuilding our economy at a very fast pace. So this is briefly about the economic progress of PSUs and the growth story of PSUs with the growth of country's economy. And I would like to have some kind of interaction. If anybody would like to ask, would like to know.
Good evening. Good evening. You spoke about turning around of so many companies, PSUs, especially when you mentioned about NBCC at the outset of your opening remarks, because for the last 6 years, I believe NBCC has improved. Then you spoke about disinvestment. Of what future you see in view of this complete market crash, and which is continued and which is expected to continue for the next quite some time, maybe 3-4 months. So, because only financial institutions are coming to the rescue, so practically disinvestments are not to that extent.
this, as far as crash that has occurred very recently, that everybody, all the experts are saying that our fundamentals are very strong. It's based mostly on the external factors, what is happening in China and the devaluation that took place in China and the after effects of the devaluation of Chinese currency. And the value of rupee has depreciated, but they feel our fundamentals are very strong, and they keep saying that Indian, particularly in the Indian context, our strength is our public sector, because that's where when such kind of economic crisis took place in 2006, 2007, in those days also PSUs stood their ground and they contributed in a big way. And the economics and the basic fundamentals of these companies are strong. And even now, we expect that the infrastructure projects are coming in a big way. And the government is also going to spend big amounts in the infrastructure projects. And as I see, particularly for NBCC, where I'm looking after the vigilance, we could, NBCC is presently doing a business of 5,000 to 6,000 crores a year. And they have got such huge projects in the last 3-4 months. With these 3-4 big projects, their annual targets this year will definitely be surpassed, and they will be doing much more than what it is targeted for NBCC. Because NBCC has basically got 4 major infrastructure projects. One, they are doing this East Kidwai Nagar redensification, redevelopment project. And there is another big project that is coming up in the East Delhi area, where they are going to construct the highest building in Delhi with more than 100 stories. After this smart city concept of this Ministry of Urban Development has come up, they are going to take up many infrastructure projects with this concept of smart city concept built in, which mostly focuses that people should travel minimum distances from their workplace to their residence. There should be minimum movement of people. So with that idea, they are planning townships and colonies in such a way the people, they reside in that area and they work in that area, and they have all the facilities, entertainment, everything available in that particular area, so that they need not move longer distances. That's how you can be able to have a check over the traffic problems which we have, because people have to commute long distances. And in Delhi, we have these peak hours of coming and going. In the morning, there's huge traffic jams in the morning when everybody comes to the office at the same time and they leave the office at the same time, everybody is rushing back. So the whole stretches from the main commercial areas to the residential areas, the whole roads get choked up. So they are getting some of the major projects coming up, and the government also is lined up with a lot of infrastructure projects. So with these kind of projects coming up, at least for NBCC, the future is quite bright. They've already got big projects, and some other projects are in the line. They're actively participating in those projects, which are likely to be announced also. And I also strongly believe that this phase, this temporary crash in the markets, and definitely this was a bad phase, but everybody is expecting very soon that we'll come over this crisis, and some improvements have already started, have already seen. The rupee has started appreciating better, and some Sensex also has gone up. But it will be there for some time. Everybody says it's a temporary phase. It will be there for a short time, but we'll definitely overcome this crisis very soon.
as you have just said, the NBC has taken a big project in East Kidwai Nagar. Have any study been done on the roadside? It's almost on the ring road, and there is already a huge traffic jams both sides of the road. And since this commercial project is coming in East Kidwai Nagar, has any studies been done how to cope up with the future traffic on the road? Both sides, either that Saptajang Road or towards that road. Because the medical enclave is on the right side of this. All India Institute, Indian Council of Medical Research, National Medical Library, National Board, and then South Extension. So how this commercial has come up without, I don't know whether any study has been done about the...
To tell you frankly that we have not conducted any study as far as traffic outside the project is concerned. That is true. But we have taken care about the traffic requirements or the parking requirements within the complex. That's true, that's true. Because definitely once this project is open after completion, we have sufficient facilities inside the complex, but that is not going to reduce the problems which are going to come on the outside. And definitely this has been pointed out, and we are in consultations with Delhi traffic and of course with the NDMC and other local bodies. Now NDMC wanted, NBCC is now interested in taking that problem also as a part of this project. We are in consultations with NDMC. We have asked NDMC to provide some financial assistance for taking up those traffic requirements which will going to come from outside, so that they can be accommodated to some extent within the complex. So these new proposals we have initiated. They are still in the discussion stage, but hopefully they will take a shape by the time this project is started.